If your adult child needs a safe space to avoid offensive words, you failed as a fucking parent. If anything in my seminar offends you, blame your parents for raising a pussy.
What's going on, everybody? Daniel in your face. I've got some fun tech stuff to talk about. There's a couple things I want to go over. I'm a huge gaming laptop fan, and you know, I love to help people on a budget create things that are awesome for a very minimal price. And today we're going to do that with a gaming laptop setup that I've discovered actually is really good. And it flew under the radar. We're going to talk about that today. First, I'm going to show you a few things. Okay, we've got a few different generations of laptops going on here. This is a 2009. This is not quite pre-Dell. This is Alienware. This is an MX-15. This was top of the line gaming laptop in 2009. This laptop sold for $2,700. Even today's standards, this is a pretty good laptop, but it's held back by, unfortunately, the limitations of its tech at the time of its release. This can play up to about Xbox 360 games to about 2015. But it can't run a lot of the newer games on Steam. So though I can install Steam on this computer, unfortunately the GPU on this is so old and it's not upgradable that it won't run the majority of the shaders needed for new games and stuff that's come out. You can run some stuff on Steam, but this will not qualify for the equivalent of most of the Steam games by today. So this is a $2,700 laptop. That's not after taxes, by the way. And this was 2009, 2010 tech. This over here is a 2015 gaming laptop. This is a Lenovo IDEA Y510P gaming laptop. And this was about $650 on its release. Now, this does have very decent internal specs, so this can still run the majority of today's gaming on the Steam network. But what is the in-between of these two? Where can we find the middle ground? I want something that is portable, because both of these weigh a lot. These are hunks of steel. This laptop weighs close to like, I want to say it's like 5 to 6 pounds, which is pretty darn heavy. And this laptop is like 12 to 13, almost 14 pounds, I want to say. This is a very heavy hunk of steel. What is the in between these two? What if I told you the Walmart special laptop is actually the midweight between both of these monsters? This is still reasonable and will play a lot of good games. This is very reasonable, but has a high price point by today's standards. You know, a lot of people can't afford a $650 laptop, and that was in 2015 on this release, right? So where's the in-between of all this? I've got it. Believe it or not, this slim little itty-bitty HP laptop, and I've actually got the case parted right now because I'm still working on the internals, but so it's actually a little slimmer. I haven't crushed the case down. But this weighs roughly 3 pounds. This is a very small computer. This is the HP 14, and it actually is very good for gaming. Believe it or not, this computer has the ability to smoke this one by today's standards. This is slow in comparison to this. But there's a caveat. There's actually a few caveats to how I can make this tiny little laptop produce the results of what something like this could for $2,700. You can buy this laptop used for around $70 to $100. This comes with an AMD Athlon Silver processor and AMD Radeon graphics built into it, integrated graphics. This is actually a great little gaming laptop, but like I said, there's caveats to that. It's not this, but it's better than this, but we're in the middle. The problem is the potential of this laptop is held back, and we're going to talk about how. This was a Walmart special, Amazon and Walmart special laptop. This was popularized because of school and work. A lot of people wanted a miniature laptop that had a reasonable functionality, that had good, solid, core, reasonable memory. As far as expansion goes, it has a 128 gigabyte drive, but it only has 4 gigs of RAM of memory. This takes DDR4. So what is the huge overall limiting factor of untapping the potential of this laptop? Well, I'm going to tell you. This was a Windows or a Walmart special laptop, which means the majority of Walmart laptops, when you buy them, come with Windows S Mode active. And a lot of people were deterred by the idea of S Mode. So if you don't know what S Mode is, Windows S Mode is basically where the operating system will be a version of, let's say, Windows 10, but it'll have an active S Mode in there. And the S Mode means you can't download any outside sourcing other than things from the Microsoft Store. So you're buying a laptop that you can't install any third-party software on. So if you bought this directly from the store, you couldn't put Steam Network on this. You couldn't put Oblivion on here. You couldn't do VLC Media Player, or let's say you don't want to use Microsoft Edge as your browser. Guess what? You can't download Chrome or Opera or anything. Bing, it won't let you download any of that and install it because it's not direct to Microsoft Store. Now, as time went on, people realized that they could take these computers out of S Mode. It got more difficult as time went on. So it has all these wonderful, great features, this AMD Athlon Silver, good for daily process, but it's being held back by a system that is simplified, but still has all the bloatware and registry attached to it. So how do we solve that? The first thing you need to do to make this a reasonable midweight gaming laptop is get it out of S Mode. And the way you do that is you go to your settings and you go to activation or Windows Update, and then go down and scroll to activation, click on that, and then there'll be a little tab there that says put this in Microsoft, whatever, Windows Home Edition. Click on that and it'll say you cannot go back after doing this. You absolutely 100% do not want to go back to S Mode. It is useless. It is a bad thing that Windows did. Get this computer out of S Mode. Once you've done that, you have untapped the potential of this machine, but the caveat is it's still being held back by this bloatware operated system. You're crushing the CPU with a full copy of Windows 10 on there. It doesn't have the RAM capability to back up what the full potential of Microsoft Windows is. How do we solve that? Well, now you've got it out of S Mode. This allows you to now install another version of Windows. Not just any version, a stripped down version of Windows 11 Tiny. This can handle Windows 11 Tiny like nothing. All of my computers in this household are currently running on Windows Tiny 11, and the reason why is it only takes 2 gigs of RAM to operate the entire operating system, and it is 100% bloatware free. It does not come with any of the crap that Microsoft tries to push on you. Now you say, well, Dan, how did you do that and where did you get it? I will supply all of that in the description of the video. If you follow each individual segment of my videos, you will learn how to make a micro SD card that has Windows 11 Tiny on it. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's easy. Once you have a dedicated Windows 11, I used a micro SD card and USB adapter. I put it on there and I used Rufus USB software to create my ISO file. And then on the boot up of this computer, I pushed F10 and changed my boot up sequence to boot up from the USB. Once I got to that stage, I was able to install Windows Tiny 11. And what that did was untap the entire potential of what this laptop can do by not having an exploded, overloaded version of Windows on it. It freed up the processor tenfold. Instead of it sitting around 70% use on constant daily idle activity, it dropped it down to 3%. So now you've freed up the AMD Athlon Silver driver to do what it wants to do when it comes to gaming. And what that allows you to do is streamline the system. But here's the second caveat. Now that you've got Windows Tiny 11 on here, right, it still lacks RAM. The cool thing about this computer, there's actually two cool things, and we're going to talk about those now, is that this does have an expandable memory bay. You can put up to 32 gigs of RAM in this, DDR4 SO-DIMM RAM. This will take 32 gigs. So to give you an idea, I bought this laptop for $50, right? Used. I bought it off somebody else used. It barely got any use. It's like brand new. I took it apart and I realized it actually is an expandable computer. You can make this better. You just have to strip the system and make it smaller and easier so that the processor can work with what's being handled, what's being pushed on it as far as its potential can go. So Tiny 11 will alter drastically this computer's capabilities and make it a monster for mid-range gaming. You will be able to handle new games on Steam, older games. You may have to turn the graphics profile down slightly on some games, but the integrated graphics from the AMD Radeon can actually handle a lot of modern games that are out now and older games. Windows Tiny 11 is the game changer for a laptop like this, especially if you want to turn this into a nice gaming laptop mixed with work. This will now untap the full potential. And the nice thing about Windows Tiny 11 is that it doesn't have the bloatware, but you can still install all your normal stuff you would run on Windows. This also comes with Bluetooth, and it has Miracast, so you can do casting with this. So, Windows Tiny 11, USB, installed. Lack of RAM. DDR4 SO-DIMM. There's 2 slots there. You have to choose the same RAM, though, if you're going to do this. So I would suggest going on eBay, okay, and choosing you can do 8 gigs and make 16, or you can do 2 16s and make 32, whatever you want to do. Okay, I chose to do 2 16s. So I'm actually waiting for my other RAM to come in. Right now I only have 8 gigs of RAM in here. I'm actually waiting for the ones I ordered to come in, which is why I still have the case kind of split and I can pop the bottom of the laptop off easily. That is why. Another very interesting thing about this is that most of these tiny computers don't actually come with fans on board, but because this has an AMD Athlon Silver, this computer is unique in its own way because it actually has a cooling channel. This has a fan with a cooling channel. Like they knew it was going to be used for gaming at one point. This is something you don't see on these tiny little laptops that are this thin. This has all the technology that both of these have in them in a tiny package, a minuscule little lightweight package. I'm not kidding when I tell you this is good for gaming. I'm not even joking. I'm going to take you guys on a little gaming trip on this, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about this laptop. But if you were looking for something, this laptop, brand new, still sells on Amazon for $200. Totally worth it. I would suggest trying to find it used for around $50 to $100, because $200, if you just spent another $100, you could get something like an ROB, the Robe, right? That laptop's $300. It is a full-on fledged gaming laptop, kind of like this, not as good, but kind of like this. But like I said, if you can get this for around $100 to $120, totally worth it. It is so cheap. All you're doing is buying $20 worth of RAM and popping it in here and making a ISO copy of Tiny 11 and installing that on here. So if we start this up, this boots up pretty quickly. It's a reasonably fast laptop now that I've stripped the system, and it's already up. That was from a complete shutdown. It's already up and going. I click here. There we go. Let's see. And enter. Look, it's already up. That's how fast this computer is now. Running on Windows 11 Tiny. It is instantaneous. With the SSD drive and the 8 gigs of RAM, the processor, and the AMD Radeon graphics, integrated graphics working all as one unit with a stripped down system. This is a fast little computer. It is mind-blowingly fast. It would smoke this, and this has a lot of very good internals. It's not quite as good as this, but this is a nice, intermediate, lightweight gaming laptop for a beginner. Anybody who's thinking about getting into it, if you're willing to take a little bit of time out of your day to order some RAM, pop the bottom of this computer off. There's 8 screws, pop the bottom off, take a credit card, pry a little bit, and then just run the credit card around here and it'll just pop the bottom off. You have access to the RAM. As you can see, I've got plenty of RAM. This is actually DDR3. All the DDR4 I have is actually in here right now, but same principle. You got these little RAM, you pop them in, and bam, you've now increased the capacity of what this computer can handle. And a lot of modern games take up to 16 gigs at least. So if you put 32 in here, you won't have any problems. So let's do a little bit of gaming. I'm going to show you. We're going to push this computer to its limit. I'm not only going to push it to its limit, I'm going to show you that this computer can actually handle really reasonable graphics, right? I told myself I was going to run Crysis on here for you guys, and I'm going to, because Crysis was the pinnacle of mid-range gaming. It pushed any processor that was out to its potential. I don't even know if computers today could still run Crysis at 60 frames per second. I think some of them could, but when the i7s were coming out, even the top-end i7s, they were having a problem. This is also i7. This is an 8th gen i7, and this still would have a problem running Crysis at its full potential. But this little laptop can almost do it, and do it well. Let me show you. Alrighty, guys, I turned off my light in here so that you guys can have a good idea of this computer. And I'm going to be using my mouse over here. Get this set up. Let's see here. So we'll go Crysis. And we'll hit yes. Pop up Crysis here. Yep, I get it. It even has really good sound. Crank it up a little bit here. Remember, guys, I bought this computer for almost next to nothing. Almost next to nothing. Click here. There, click there. Get this game going here for you guys. Yeah, Crysis was the game, man. All right, let's go. Single player. We'll go new game. Easy. Start game. HD greatness. Computer's handling this like it's nothing. To give you an idea, my computer over there on the left, the Alienware from 2009 that this game was designed for at the time that this game came out, would be lagging slightly to this. And this little computer is not. It is not lagging at all. There is zero performance loss. This game would have pushed computers to their absolute limit on its release. So that just goes to show you that technology has changed a lot. This computer weighs 3 pounds and can outperform that $3,000 Alienware laptop. That is just insane to me. And by the way, the release date of this little computer was 2022. So they have a few iterations out there. This is the Model 14 with the Athlon Silver. I'm going to skip that real quick and we'll just get right into the rest of the gameplay here. Yeah, so surprising.
Sky Chief, Red Angels 25, very easy. Getting some radar interference. Looks like an electrical storm brewing. That's a negative, Sky Chief. Nothing on our side. Skies are clear. Over. Roger, man. Must be a malfunction. ETA drop zone.
Hey, Nomad, you still with us?
Okay, listen up, gentlemen. Intel reports a significant military presence on the island. We have the element of surprise, so let's use it. The North Koreans can't know we're here.
I won't even know what it's up.
Can it, Psycho? Pay attention. This is a covert operation. Our job is to locate and evacuate. We're not at war here.
Not yet. Oh, right. Even though these people are still alive.
That's what we're here to find out. We lost contact with Dr. Rosenthal a week ago when the Korean military locked down the island.
This looks
2 days ago,
fantastic.
we picked up a distress signal from the team's research vessel. Someone down there wants to be found.
Grab the team, we're beginning approach. Stand by.
All right, gear up. Masks on. Once we clear the plane, form up on me. Shoots on my mark.
3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go, go, go!
Yeah, boy.
See you guys at the LZ.
I'm telling you guys, this is a radical little laptop if you set it up correctly.
I've heard of this guy. Must have found something to buy all of this.
And remember, this thing only weighs 3 pounds. The sound from it is great. It's functioning at almost full potential for a gaming laptop, a mid-weight gaming laptop. This is crazy. Just craziness.
What the hell? You see that? Lost his shoot.
My chute's gone. My damn chute is gone. I've got no man, no reserve. Keep it together, kid. Drop a water. Section absorb the impact.
Bam.
Nomad, what's your status? I'm okay.
We gotta swim up, boys.
Scramble. What the hell was that? I don't know. You missed the LZ. Make your way to the beach. On my way.
Anyone hit the LZ?
You guys are all over the place. Check in. Psycho. Down and on the move. Just
So it looks like it's a little glitchy. That's actually my mouse.
Aztec. Report.
Look. Look.
Look, I made it to the beach. You hit the water pretty hard. Some of your ship functions are offline. Let me run a quick diagnostic.
Oh my gosh, the game physics are like perfect.
All right. Suit checks out. Back online.
This mouse is not very smooth on this piece of paper.
Still no word from Aztec. Nomad, rendezvous with Jester and head to Aztec's location. Check your objectives display.
Look at the amount of detail and physics in the game. The trees are moving, each leaf is moving. It's handling all of this at full potential. Like I said, it's the mouse that's glitching a little bit. It's the mouse itself is not a good mouse. I just grabbed my cheap little eBay mouse and hooked it up. My gaming mouse is a lot more sensitive than this is. Phenomenal, just phenomenal. And remember, I'm recording this with my phone. If I did a screen recording, this would look even better for you guys. On the screen, it looks insanely good. You're getting the screen or the phone recording of what I'm recording, and it still looks great. Functioning at full capacity. So like I said, guys, for very, very cheap, you can build a mid-range, mid-weight gaming laptop in between these two. You don't need to buy something like this if you're just going to be doing some fairly basic, fun gaming. If you're somebody who's very like, oh, I have to have this and I need 120 hertz, I have to have 4K screen, then this isn't for you. But if you're looking for just some fun gaming that can handle Steam Network and can do all of those things and have a reasonable amount of processing power, plus be used for school and work, this is it. You cannot beat the price of these things. Like I said, if you picked one of these up used, I call this the Walmart special because that's what it was. It was the Amazon Walmart special. If you're willing to go down the road of taking Windows Tiny, I will put the information needed to get the ISO of Windows Tiny 11. I'll put a video showing where and how to get it and install it and how to put it on Rufus. And then, like I said, during the boot up process, when you first turn the computer on, push F10, change the boot up sequence in the boot up menu to USB, and then plug this in. When you restart the computer, it will look for this drive first and it'll go, oh, you have a Windows program that you want to run, and it will run this, and then you'll have Windows Tiny 11 installed on this laptop after the fact. Okay, and it will streamline and strip the entire bloatware off the system and make it super, super fast, giving you the ultimate micro gaming laptop. This thing is so tiny for the amount of power that it produces. Look at this. Look at how slim this laptop is. It's crazy. It barely weighs anything compared to these two bricks that are next to me. This is my favorite laptop now to bring places. This literally, I can just chuck it in my bag and I'm out. Look at the skinny form factor of this thing. Look at this. It's just so tiny. It's so tiny and portable. Just right, boom, in my backpack, away I go. I can do gaming anywhere. And because it has Bluetooth, I can buy a cheap $9 Bluetooth controller and pair it right to this and play all my games on a cheap $9 Bluetooth controller. If I had a projector that had screen mirroring or a TV, I can just click the Windows button and hit the K, and it'll pull up the casting, and I can cast without even having to hook to HDMI. I can just set this somewhere and push it off to the side, start my game, and play on my TV just by screencasting with like minimal lag. I've been playing it for a month now, and I love it. I've been wanting to make this video. It's been taking forever for the RAM to come in, but like I said, I got it up to 8 gigs, and now it's handling the majority of stuff I throw at it just fine. Once I put 32 gigs on it, then I can start doing a lot bigger games from Steam Network. A lot of them require 16 gigs or better. And you can internally update the SSD, but this takes an M.2 SSD drive. It does not take a 2.5 millimeter SATA drive. It does not take one of these, unfortunately. But if you get a laptop or a SD expansion bay, you can actually open this up, put an SSD drive in here, close it, hook it up through USB, like so, plug this in. While that drive's in there, and plug this in, and now you have a second hard drive that you can just plug right into the USB port and load full of as many games you want. So if you buy a terabyte SSD or a 16 terabyte SSD, you can put all your games on this. And then you just throw this in your backpack with you. But for the games that you just want to play on the fly that you know you'll be playing often, if they fit on the drive that's on there, normally after you install the hard drive or the OS on the system and you delete the Windows old file, that leaves you about 80 gigs of, with the size of this drive, it leaves you about 80 gigs to play with. So, you know, a couple reasonable games and you'll still have some space left over, whatever you wanted to play every time you were out and with your friends or whatever. But if you wanted to expand the laptop without changing the M.2 SSD that's in there for a terabyte or better, because that's costly and most of you probably won't even want to go down that road just because it's a lot of work, and you have to make a slave or a clone of the drive that's already in here and then replace them. That's a lot of work. Most of you won't do that. I'm going to, just because I know what I want from this laptop, but this is the easier route for you guys if you wanted to expand the size of the hard drive bay and install games onto this. That way, whenever you want to play them, you just plug this in and boom, now you have whatever size space that you wanted to, and it acts as a secondary drive for the computer. So you can fill it full of games if you want to, outside of just installing things on the laptop itself. So, but there you go. The HP 14, like I said, brand new. They run about $200. If you get one used, they're very, very cheap, portable, has a ton of technology in it. If you're willing to strip the old system away and make some minimal changes to it, you will have yourself a very reasonable laptop that is in between these two that will get the job done, and you'll have a lot of fun. All right, this is gaming on a budget. That's what this is, and honestly, I think you'll be quite surprised by the capabilities of this little laptop. So anyways, guys, I'll catch you on the flip. I hope this video was helpful. If you like my content, press the notification, subscribe, think about it. I helped you out. Make a video. Everything you need to know about installing all this and streamlining the system will all be in the description of this video. So if you do happen to pick one of these up, you can immediately jump right into making it awesome. Right out the hole, but you're still going to need to upgrade the RAM because it only comes with 4 gigs of RAM, and unfortunately for today's gaming, that's not very good. Luckily, it's very easy to replace the RAM on this laptop, so you can upgrade it very, very easily. The SSD drive that's in it is good enough for the majority of gaming that you're going to be doing. However, a lot of games now are like 150 gigs or more. So if you're talking about a huge game like PUBG or whatever, that's 93 gigs. You just chewed up all the space the computer had. That's where a setup like this comes into play. That's where you want to get one of these. This is a 500 gigabyte SSD drive, SATA 2.5 millimeter drive. This costs $15 on Temu for this drive. So they're very cheap. If you just want to get an SSD drive to plug into something like this, and this costs $6 on Temu to have a 2.5 SATA drive connector point. Just plug it in right into the laptop. It'll automatically recognize that it's a secondary drive, and you can start filling it up with as many games as you want to. It'll act like it's part of the computer when it's plugged in. So that's a very cheap way to do it, very easy. So anyways, guys, catch you on the flip. Toodles.